What if one morning, while riding a crowded city bus in the middle of an ordinary Tuesday, you suddenly realized that you were quietly wasting your life? That the days were passing, the years were moving, and although nothing was wrong, something also wasn't right. You weren't miserable, but you weren't fully alive either. You weren't depressed, but you weren't truly happy. That realization hit Gretchen Rubin like a shockwave, an unexpected awakening that inspired her to dedicate an entire year to one question: how can I be happier? And what she discovered changed everything. This is the story of the Happiness Project, a month-by-month journey where Gretchen applied research, philosophy, psychology, and personal experimentation to understand what really creates lasting happiness. And what makes this book powerful is not that she reinvented her life, but that she changed it without changing it. She didn't escape to Bali, or meditate in a monastery, or start over in a new country. Instead, she stayed exactly where she was, same marriage, same home, same routine, and learned how to uncover happiness within the life she already had. Today, we're breaking down every chapter of this transformational book so you can begin your own happiness project right now, right where you are. Let's begin. Rubin begins by explaining what a happiness project really is: a structured approach to improving your mood, habits, and quality of life through practical resolutions. Unlike vague intentions like, I want to be happier, a happiness project requires clarity, understanding what brings joy, what causes guilt or frustration, and what concrete actions can make a difference. She explains that happiness isn't just luck or personality, it's a skill. Research shows that about 50% of happiness is genetic, 10 to 20% depends on life circumstances, and the rest depends on how we think and act. That means we have enormous control over our emotional well-being. Rubin shares her belief that we learn more from personal stories than universal theories, and encourages readers not to copy her project, but to design their own. The idea for the project came unexpectedly. Rubin describes a rainy day on a New York City bus when she realized that although she had a wonderful life, a loving husband, 2 children, work she enjoyed, supportive family, she wasn't appreciating it fully. She was often irritated, tired, impatient, and weighed down by negativity and guilt. She wanted to change, not her circumstances, but her experience of them. So she committed to spending 1 year studying happiness and applying everything she learned. She planned to organize the year into 12 themes, one for each month, each supported by measurable daily resolutions and a resolutions chart inspired by Benjamin Franklin. She also created her 12 commandments, core principles to guide her behavior, like Be Gretchen, let it go, do it now, act the way I want to feel, and there is only love. Complementing those were her secrets of adulthood, simple but powerful truths such as, what you do every day matters more than what you do once in a while. People don't notice your mistakes as much as you think to be why doing a little bit each day, you can accomplish a lot. With her framework ready, the project began. Chapter 1, January, Boost Energy Vitality. January marks the beginning of Gretchen Rubin's journey, focused on what she believes is the essential foundation for happiness: energy. She recognizes that when she feels energetic, she is more patient, optimistic, productive, and kind. But when she feels drained, even small tasks feel overwhelming, and she becomes irritable and frustrated. Her question becomes, how can I increase both physical and mental energy so that I can build momentum for the rest of the year? To begin, she identifies 5 key resolutions. Go to sleep earlier, exercise better, toss, restore, organize, tackle a nagging task, act more energetic. Go to sleep earlier. Rubin discovers how profoundly sleep affects mood, self-control, patience, and focus. Studies she references suggest that even 1 extra hour of sleep can increase day-to-day happiness more than a significant raise in income. Yet, like many adults, she often sacrificed sleep for tasks she considered important: emails, bills, reading, or TV. Her commitment becomes simple but powerful: turn out the lights earlier. She creates routines to improve her sleep quality, keeping the room darker, reducing screen exposure at night, avoiding stimulating activities before bed, and preparing for sleep earlier instead of waiting until she's exhausted. She also identifies nighttime anxiety and racing thoughts as obstacles. To combat this, she keeps tools nearby, writing down tasks that stress her, wearing warm socks to improve circulation, and practicing slow breathing. These small steps deliver meaningful results. She begins waking up naturally, feeling renewed, and notices improvement in her patience with her family. Exercise better. Rubin acknowledges that although exercise seems exhausting, research proves the opposite. It actually increases energy, boosts mental clarity, reduces stress, and improves health. She realizes that moving her body daily was non-negotiable for both physical vitality and emotional stability. She begins weight training, encouraged by a friend who introduces her to a program requiring only 20 minutes per session. It surprisingly becomes effective and enjoyable. She also incorporates regular walking and tracks her movement with a pedometer, discovering that small adjustments help her reach the 10,000-step goal simply by choosing to walk instead of using the subway. Exercise becomes more than fitness. It becomes a mental reset, a way to think clearly, solve problems, and refresh her mind. Toss, restore, organize. Clutter, Rubin realizes, drains energy. A messy space creates stress, guilt, decision fatigue, and distraction. She decides to declutter her home aggressively, tackling closets, drawers, files, and long-ignored storage. She learns to distinguish between types of clutter: nostalgic, buyer's remorse, aspirational, crutch clutter, and freebie clutter. With trash bags and determination, she clears out everything she doesn't realistically use. The surprising discovery: outer order contributes to inner calm. Even small organization projects deliver a rush of satisfaction and motivation. Tackle a nagging task. Rubin identifies that unfinished responsibilities occupy mental bandwidth and create low-grade stress. These include dentist appointments, repairs, clothing alterations, paperwork, medical checkups, unanswered messages, and lingering purchases. She writes a long list and begins addressing tasks one by one. Each completion brings disproportionate relief and lifts her energy more than she expects. The lesson becomes clear: small tasks produce big emotional results. Act more energetic. Rubin applies one of her 12 commandments. Act the way you want to feel. If you behave enthusiastically, you begin to feel enthusiastic. Energy can be created from effort. She practices smiling, using a lively tone, standing instead of slouching, initiating conversations, and pushing herself into action rather than waiting for motivation. Changing behavior reshapes emotion. By the end of January, Rubin discovers that energy isn't found. It's built through consistent choices. And once built, everything else becomes easier. Chapter 2. February. Remember love, marriage. In February, Rubin turns her focus towards strengthening her marriage. She emphasizes that her relationship wasn't in crisis, but she wanted to reduce unnecessary conflict and increase warmth. Rubin admits she often took small frustrations out on her husband Jamie and sometimes prioritized efficiency over affection. She creates 5 resolutions. Quit nagging that don't expect praise or appreciation. Fight right. No dumping. Give proofs of love. Quit nagging. Rubin acknowledges that although she believed nagging encouraged action, it actually created resentment and negativity. She decides to stop pushing reminders and instead adopt responsibility herself or accept tasks without complaint. Don't expect praise or appreciation. She realizes that doing kind things while waiting for recognition creates silent bitterness. True generosity means giving without expecting reciprocity. When she begins acting without expecting praise, she experiences greater freedom and peace. Fight right. Rubin discovers that conflict is inevitable, but the way couples disagree determines relationship health. She replaces blame with calm statements, avoids stockpiling anger, and steps back when emotions spike. No dumping. Rather than vent every annoyance to her spouse, she learns emotional self-regulation. Constant dumping drains both partners. Give proofs of love. Rubin practices concrete actions, small gestures that say, "I love you," louder than words. Her marriage grows lighter, warmer, and more connected, not because Jamie changes, but because she does. Chapter 3. March. Aim higher work. March centers on ambition and creativity. Rubin recognizes that meaningful work is essential for happiness, not in terms of status or money, but progress. Her resolutions: launch a blog, enjoy the fun of failure, ask for help, work smart, keep an idea notebook. She confronts perfectionism, fear of embarrassment, procrastination, and self-doubt. In this month, she begins writing her blog, which eventually reaches millions. She learns that passion requires risk, discomfort, and vulnerability. Her key realization: happiness grows not from avoiding challenges, but by pursuing personal growth. Chapter 4. April. Lighten up Parenthood. In April, Rubin focuses on enjoying motherhood rather than simply managing it. She notices that she spent too much time correcting, rushing, and demanding instead of appreciating small joyful moments. Her resolutions include: sing in the morning, acknowledge feelings that be a treasure house of happy memories, take time for projects. Rubin learns that humor, patience, listening, and slowing down transform family life. She realizes children mirror the emotional tone of their parents, so by lightening up, she gives her children a lighter world to grow in. Chapter 5. May. Be serious about play, leisure. Rubin recognizes that adults often lose track of what truly brings them joy. She asks herself a simple but profound question: what is fun for me? Her resolutions: find more fun, take time to be silly, go off the path, start a collection. She experiments with hobbies and discovers unexpected pleasures, like children's literature and collecting bluebird figures. She emphasizes that fun is deeply personal. What delights one person may bore another. She rejects guilt and obligation in leisure and instead honors her genuine joys. Chapter 6. June. Make time for friends, friendship. For June, Rubin focuses on friendship, the social connections that research consistently proves are essential for emotional well-being. Her resolutions include: remember birthdays, be generous, show up, don't gossip, make 3 new friends. Rubin discovers that friendship requires effort, reaching out, attending events, initiating plans, following through, and nurturing connection with sincerity. She finds that doing kind things for others without expecting anything back generates profound happiness. She learns that friendliness is a habit, not a personality trait, and that in giving to others, we receive joy ourselves. Chapter 7. July. By some happiness, money. In July, Gretchen Rubin turns her attention to one of the most debated topics surrounding happiness: money. She acknowledges that although people often claim money cannot buy happiness, research shows that money can contribute to happiness when used wisely and intentionally. Rubin explores her own beliefs around spending, saving, and consumption. She reflects on how she often avoided spending money on things that could genuinely improve daily life or reduce stress, while simultaneously wasting money on things that offered no real joy. Her resolutions for July revolve around understanding how to use money as a tool for emotional well-being. Spend out, buy needful things, pay for experiences that create lasting joy, use money to eliminate stress, give generously. Spend out. Rubin reveals a habit she calls hoarding, where she saved items such as stationery, special soaps, or gift cards, waiting for a perfect moment that rarely came. She realizes this behavior reflected fear and scarcity rather than freedom. To counter it, she adopts her principle: spend out, which means using resources instead of protecting them unnecessarily. Spending out becomes both symbolic and practical. It means giving freely, using what you have, and refusing to trap joy behind hesitation. Buy needful things. Sometimes happiness requires admitting that convenience matters. Rubin decides to invest in items that reduce daily irritation, like improved lighting and household repairs. She discovers that spending money to solve recurring problems is more effective than tolerating constant minor discomfort. Pay for experiences, not stuff. Research shows that people adapt quickly to new possessions, while experiences expand emotional memory and deepen connection. Rubin chooses to invest in outings with loved ones, celebrations, and learning opportunities. Use money to reduce stress. Hiring help, replacing broken items, or investing in wellness can increase energy and peace. Rather than seeing these expenses as luxuries, Rubin reframes them as investments in mental clarity. Give generously. Rubin experiences emotional reward from generosity. She concludes that giving is not a loss, it is an expansion. July teaches her that money, when used thoughtfully, becomes a tool for freedom, joy, and emotional security. Chapter 8. August. Contemplate the heavens, eternity. In August, Rubin shifts from the material to the spiritual. She explores meaning, reflection, and perspective, the elements that allow us to step outside daily routine and view life through a wider lens. Her resolutions include: read memoirs of catastrophe, keep a gratitude notebook, imitate a spiritual master, reflect on purpose and mortality. Read memoirs of catastrophe. Rubin reads real stories from people who have faced life-altering events, illness, disaster, and loss. These narratives awaken gratitude, humility, and the urgency of living fully. For Rubin, confronting tragedy sharpens appreciation for ordinary, peaceful days. Keep a gratitude notebook. Rubin begins recording small blessings daily. She discovers that gratitude rewires perception. The more she looks for joy, the more joy reveals itself. Imitate a spiritual master. Rubin studies the life and writings of Saint Therese of Lisieux, learning from her acceptance, humility, and commitment to love through small acts. This month reinforces that thinking beyond oneself and stepping into a larger spiritual context increases resilience and calm. Chapter 9, September. Pursue a passion, books. In September, Rubin decides to pursue something deeply personal, her love of books. She recognizes that passion fuels energy and that energy fuels happiness. Rubin admits that she often suppressed interests she considered impractical or childish. She felt pressured to be productive rather than joyful and guilty for enjoying certain hobbies more than others. Her key resolutions include: make time to read for pleasure, not obligation. To deal what you love, not what you're supposed to love. Abandon books she doesn't enjoy. Create space to immerse in passion. Permission to love what you love. Rubin rejects social pressure to enjoy certain activities simply because they are valued or admired. She frees herself from expectations and embraces genuine delight. Pursuing passion without guilt. Rubin notices how often adults silence their passions in the name of productivity. She learns that pleasure is not frivolous, it is fuel. Energy from engagement. When deeply engaged, time flows effortlessly. Passion generates vitality. By embracing her love of reading, Rubin becomes more energized, expressive, and fulfilled. Chapter 10, October. Pay attention, mindfulness. October is a month devoted to awareness and presence. Rubin realizes that she often rushes through life without noticing it. Mindfulness becomes her tool for grounding herself in reality rather than distractions. Her resolutions include: meditate, stimulate the mind in new ways, examine true rules, keep a food diary, observe without judgment. Meditate and slow down. Rubin practices sitting quietly and breathing. Even brief moments of stillness help her feel calm, centered, and mentally clear. Stimulate with novelty. She learns that novelty increases happiness by capturing attention and breaking routine. Trying new experiences, even small ones, awakens curiosity. Examine true rules. Rubin questions long-held assumptions about what she should do. By reflecting rather than reacting, she finds more freedom and authenticity. Mindful eating and living. Tracking food intake helps her notice emotions that trigger behavior. Paying close attention to experiences increases appreciation. Mindfulness allows her to see beauty in ordinary life. Chapter 11, November. Keep a contented heart, attitude. In November, Rubin explores emotional resilience, how to maintain joy despite setbacks. Her resolutions include: laugh out loud, use good manners, give positive reviews, find an area of refuge, choose positive interpretations over negative assumptions. Laugh out loud. Rubin intentionally invites humor into daily life, watching funny shows, sharing jokes, and embracing playfulness. Use good manners. Small courtesies transform interaction. Saying thank you, apologizing quickly, and speaking kindly create harmony. Give positive reviews. Rather than criticize books, restaurants, or films, she practices noticing what is good. This retrains her mind away from negativity. Find an area of refuge. Rubin creates emotional escape zones, places or activities that restore calm. Happiness becomes less about circumstances and more about perspective. Chapter 12, December. Boot Camp Perfect Happiness. The final month is an experiment in applying every resolution from the year simultaneously. Rubin tries to follow all habits perfectly. She quickly discovers that perfection is unrealistic, but effort is transformational. Although she cannot sustain flawless adherence, the attempt itself strengthens discipline and awareness. Rubin learns that happiness is not a goal to complete, but a continual practice based on small daily decisions. Her core realization becomes the foundation of the entire project. What you do every day matters more than what you do once in a while. By the end of December, Rubin feels more grateful, energetic, patient, loving, connected, and present. Happiness has become not a destination, but a way of living. Gretchen Rubin didn't find happiness in dramatic transformation. She found it in small habits, daily effort, choosing love, being present, appreciating the life she already had. And that is the real lesson of the Happiness Project. Happiness is not something to search for. It is something to build. So the question now is, what would your happiness project look like? Because whenever you decide to begin, you are in the right place to start.